Hello and welcome to Back to Brag Sports. I am C, the producer, and today we are going to talk about the mess in Washington. Hold up, I need one thing. Alright. If anyone wants to ask any questions, they can put there. If anyone has a question at 3 in the morning when I'm broadcasting this live. Anyway, as many of you know, this week the Redskins announced they were going to change their name. And I've already called them the Redskins. Technically, they're just the Washington football team, but I'll probably call them Redskins a bunch of times in this because it's new. And anyway, so they changed their name, and of course, there's people for and against it. You have a bunch of arguments on both sides. I'm not going to get into that. But the crazy thing is, after they announce they're going to change their name, they have no name ready. That might be because someone pretty much trademarked a bunch of possible Washington names. I'm not sure when they did it, but I saw the list, and there was a bunch of them, and it was pretty much every name that was suggested that was any good over the last few months. And then, off of that, there was more noise about more news coming from Washington. And no one knew what that was, and then they were like, it's bad news. And I'm like, what? And it turns out, Washington, or people in the Washington organization, are facing a bunch of accusations. I'll pull up that list of accusations. One of being 15 women who work for the Redskins have sexual harassment accusations. On top of that, they have accusations of fixing games, which when I heard that, I automatically thought it was fixing games to lose because I don't know if you've seen the Redskins' track record since Snyder's been around, but they haven't done great. They've won one or two division titles, but looking at them, they're not the team you would think right away is like, oh yeah, they're probably cheating. I'm like, if this came from like New England, I think like, oh yeah. No offense, New England. Then there's drug charges. Notably, Dan Snyder abusing drugs and alcohol, and that partly leading to the poor workplace culture in DC. The craziest one I've seen is pimping out cheerleaders. Also, the coaches and players sleeping with the same woman. I don't know. That's an accusation. But I guess there's some possible controversy with that. Let me see. I'm looking through this list if there's any other accusations. Well, it really doesn't matter because that's a lot of accusations for the NFL to deal with because this ultimately is an NFL situation. So if I'm them, yesterday, I would have been like, yo, Daniel, the whole Washington football organization, this is how things are going down. First, you guys aren't renamed the team yet. We're investigating this, and until the investigation is over, you're the Washington football team. You're Washington FT. If you want to be called Washington FC, that's fine. But right now, you're Washington FT, the Washington football team. And if you want to make merch that says Washington football team, fine. As for player decisions, uh, Coach Coach Rivera, you're in charge of that. We will make sure you have the money to make these moves. Snyder, you're not involved in anything. Well, when I say make sure they have the money to make the moves, it's like Daniel Snyder. Well, interesting. There'll be some working at some uh, something set up to where Coach Rivera can make his moves, any moves he feels necessary, but any move coming from them has to be okayed through the league. Like, you want to cut somebody, you got to okay through the league. Because if it looks like Snyder's going to have to sell because of these accusations, you don't want him pulling some mess. The Relocation Football League is dealing with someone who wasn't taken out of power before he found out he was being let go, and he made a big mess. Check out the Relocation Football League at relocationfootballleague.com. It's a cool league. Anyway, if you know this channel, we broadcast the coach show for the San Diego Crusaders from that league. Anyway, back to what I'm talking about. You can't let the NFL's got to make sure Snyder doesn't sabotage the team for future owners, which is another reason why you don't let him name that. You don't let him do nothing. And if, man, these are a lot of allegations. And it's possible they're innocent, but that's a lot of allegations. And just the harassment charges, though, it's some people are always suspicious, and I understand why. When a lot of allegations come out all at once about someone, or in this case, an organization, because like, oh, what? Well, let me throw my accusation in there, try to get some money out of a class action lawsuit. But that's not what we're here to talk about. It's, all 15 could have been harassed, 0 could be harassed, anywhere between 0 to 100% of those accusing the Redskins organization of harassment within their organization could have been harassed. We don't know. But yeah, with this many allegations, like, it'd be hard. It would be hard to believe that not some of them are true. It was a great response though from someone in the organization when they were addressing the fixing games allegation. Their response was pretty much, if we were fixing games, we need to get our money back. But I don't know if maybe, now, there's some hang-ups with this theory that they were fixing games so they would lose. Maybe that was to get a better draft pick. Maybe Dan Snyder or someone else in the organization was betting money against their own team, and they want them to lose. But I would imagine you're not betting enough to get back what you had to pay to get refs to mess up the game, or get players to mess up the game and whatnot. This whole thing's insane. But yeah, like this is something the NFL's should be involved in yesterday. I haven't heard any news about them getting involved yet. Maybe they have, but they have to put a freeze on almost everything. But have someone in the organization, like, start picking guys from the organization, preferably newer people like Coach Rivera. I don't know why I want to call him Riviera. That can run certain operations that affect the team. Not like the everyday business stuff, but bringing on free agents, cutting players, and whatnot. I would just make it Rivera's team. NFL will cover any um, money issue, not to give them extra cap, but uh, like any move that would affect the team financially for the future, maybe give them little outs on certain contracts, like because the NFL never stops. You're always looking at players. You're always trying to bring players in. Sometimes you need to cut players for the future just because of their salary. It's extremely complicated. But the NFL has to just put a freeze on the Redskins as much as they can, but still make it to where they have a team. I mean, obviously, I think jersey-wise, you got to just yeah, you're gonna wear the Redskin uniform, except for we're gonna yank the logo. For games, you get an R or W or something like that. It says for like football games where you always have the name and then the logo, or you have the logo next to the scores, kind of stuff. NFL figures that out, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna. If you put a freeze on the team, you let them roll with all the Redskin gear that you had previous. So yeah, honestly, I expect the Redskins to just wear blank helmets, burgundy blank helmets. Maybe like their old school helmets that were all here. Let me pull them up here on this. There we go. Edit uniforms. I would expect the Redskins uniform. Let's see if I can't find it. Yeah, pretty much that's your Redskin uniform right there. And then of course, you have your no color rush. Why are we on that? Yeah, just let them roll with like a 75th anniversary gear. That'd be cool. But yeah, just maybe not that. Just give them their. What is it? There we go. Give them their. I went the wrong way. That should be their away jersey. Make sure the pants and helmet match. And then, oop, wrong way. That's your away jersey. Let them roll with that. No Redskin logo. Blank helmet. And that should be the Redskins. Maybe you give them white pants instead. Or maybe let them go all brown, you do that, all red, and then something like that home. Oh. Well, there's another thing. You pick someone to be in charge of gear, which would probably be Rivera too, because they're the ones who have the final say in sometimes in what you wear. Because I know there was Steve Spurrier, his first week with the Redskins, he was like, "Yeah, it's hot out. We're gonna wear the white jerseys this week." Just last second, and it's a good thing the Cardinals brought their red gear. I think probably all teams bring the other color just in case. So yeah, just quick review on my thoughts. Redskins name change. It's still controversy whether they should have changed their name, because were Native Americans really offended, or was this a lot of virtue signaling from non-Native Americans? And then other little things here and there. What are they going to change their name to? Honestly, the NFL should not let them change their name. That is extra incentive, maybe making a little extra money. Actually, that would go to Snyder. Yeah, but you don't want Snyder, if he's thinking he might get booted, to name the team. let the let this all get sorted out. If they're innocent of all these allegations, you let them stay, and then they can name their team. If they're found, Snyder needs to be kicked out of the NFL, force them to sell, let the new owners name the team. With the minority owners, I would think, unless you found evidence they did anything, which I doubt, you let them stay, and you also let them, give them the option to sell their shares too. So, like, a new owner wouldn't automatically get 100% of the team, but they'd get the available shares, which should be a majority. Of course, you might have a group led by somebody who would get shares, and then whoever leads the group might not be the majority owner. That would be interesting. I would love to see them make available shares to people in DC or maybe like the DMV. If you're a Washington, Maryland, or Virginia resident, you can get shares in the team. Or, shoot, I would love to get some shares of the team. It's like, oh, here's your shares earned you 12 cents this year. That's 12 Redskin cents. Or Washington football team cents. Well, sorry. Which is interesting. Speaking of fans, sort of, I kind of spoke with fans. Because fans would love to get shares, I would think. Like, there's, like, looking at the Washington football team, like the Facebook pages of fans, it's interesting. Like, you got some that were against the name. It was like, yeah, we should change it. It's time. And others like, no. And then there's, out of those people who were like, no, it was like, who's coming back? Who's like, oh, F this team for bowing down to cancel culture, or, the woke warriors. I saw someone call them the Wokians. You know, the Ravens are right up the road. Or they could be like, screw them, we're Dallas fans. Or, they just pick whatever team. Or they might just be done with the NFL, because the NFL is just ticking people off in general for different reasons. I mean, you got people on both sides of the Kaepernick issue who still are mad about that. You got people who have issues with them playing the Black National Anthem week 1. So, it'll be interesting how fandom and NFL fandom is affected by this. So I'm going to continue to review it. I'll be interested to see what the NFL does do. I hope they put their foot down, because I don't want to see Snyder name the team and then he's gone. But I also don't want to see him gone before he's proven that he's guilty or innocent, because you've had the best example of someone getting a short end of stick of being accused of something they didn't do is Enzo Amore from WWE, not with WWE anymore. He was Cruiserweight Champion. He's making a lot of money on merch, and then someone accused him of rape. WWE, without hesitation, I think maybe they knew about the allegations beforehand, but just let him go. 100%. No suspension until you find out what happened. You could have suspended him without pay, with the option to get released. But they just let him go. A month later, I think it was, found out the woman lied. And now he's out of a job. And booking shows on the indies. And ironically, wrestling's dealing with that. Like, the whole wrestling world now is dealing with a bunch of sexual harassment and assault allegations, which is crazy. Which same thing. 100% of those allegations might be true. 0% might be true, which I doubt. But it's probably somewhere between 0 to 100, but it's probably not 0 and 100. Or 100. Because like I said, you have people throw their name into, like, let me see if I can get some money in the commotion. Excuse me. Let me take a sip of this Pure Leaf tea. That is not a paid advertisement, but if Pure Leaf want to send me some of that hibiscus tea, that'd be cool. I think we'll try to make this in a half-hour show in total. Um, but let me read some comments or look at some comments from the back and forth sports crowd. Um, oh yeah, this is another thing I want to go over. With the Redskins being accused of fixing games, it also came out that other teams might have done that, which will be terrible for the NFL. To go back to them losing fans. If it comes out that other teams are fixing games, people are gonna be like, "Oh well, screw this." Some people were like that back with the NBA, back with it was kind of spread out, but you had games where it was like, "This game seems fixed," and then you had the referee, I can't think of his name, was like, "Yeah, yeah, some of these games were fixed. We were told to help make sure certain teams won." And I think that killed some people's enjoyment of the NBA. Was like, okay, I'm done with it. I mean, that was probably more casual fans. You're not gonna have the hardcore fans be like, oh, and probably like me. I mean, good thing about being a wrestling fan, kind of like, well, I mean, if you cheated to win, screw you. But in the end, you won, and unless they're gonna strip you of your championship. I mean, would the NFL do that if they find out people who won the Super Bowl fix some games? Will they strip Super Bowl championships from them? Um, Man, the NFL's got some work. I don't know. Unfortunately, Roger Goodell's in charge, um, and I'm not a fan of his. It was funny. One of the one of our guys on the back and forth sports crew, Tommy Simmons. I'm quoting one of his texts in regards to the Redskins allegations. I hope it to be true. So Daniel Snyder, has kicked out his owner. Selfish, I know, so sue me. But total mismanagement from day one. New name, new ownership, new stadium. Back the truck up, back it up. Total mismanagement from day one. I could put that on Roger Goodell, at least when it comes to situations where people get in trouble. He's been inconsistent with his punishments, um, and it's usually like not just inconsistent, but it would be like to make up for the last like under punishment, the next guy gets over punished, and then to make up for the over punishment, the next guy gets under punished, and then they punish a person before all the facts get out, and then they repunish a person. He's, and then you have other punishments with like, did the guy really do anything wrong? I was like, oh, it violated NFL code of conduct, but did it really? He's so like, and it drives me crazy when commissioners like this get rehired. Like, really? He's the guy you want to go with. You can bring on someone new. I mean, I really don't think Roger Goodell's the guy for a job. And this could take if Roger Goodell mismanages this and the possible upcoming explosion of allegations of fixing games from owners. Like, do you force a bunch of owners out? Like, if it's like 1, 2, maybe even 3, it's no big deal. Then you get 4. That's a division worth of teams. If it's like 3 or 4 or more, what if it's like half the league? Like, the value of teams are going to go down because you're not going to be able to sell them because you're gonna have more teams available than groups that can afford to buy them. Which, though, may open up the door for more teams to be like the Packers. Which, by the way, I would love to see a professional sports team start doing the following. You find cities that are willing to have the person running the team be an elected official. Hear me out. You elect the general manager, because the owners are going to be the people who buy into the team, the fans, or just people who buy shares of the team, and because they'll make them money. But if you don't have, if you do like the Packers, but let the GM be an elected official. I don't know how long. Well, you literally go to the polls and elect who you want to run the team. And you don't need a debate. But it's pretty much, is he doing a good job or not? Do you vote? You figure it out, but pretty much you vote whether he's doing a good enough job, or maybe you make it to where here's your goals. If you meet your goals, you're fine. If you don't meet your goals, you're up for re-election every 4 years or something like that. 4 years is probably good. If you didn't of course you gotta figure out what the goals are. Maybe the NFL figures those out. I'm not sure how they run that with the Packers, but I would love to see teams ran by the citizens. I mean, obviously, citizens of the team. So let's say the team or a league gets the team in DC, and everyone who's votes in DC gets to vote on the Redskins. Or you make it everyone in Maryland, Virginia, and DC votes on the team. Though, there's a Baltimore team, so though there's tons of Redskin fans in DC, you don't want non-Redskin fans voting to try to mess up your team. So maybe you just do DC. You let them vote on who you want your general manager, and then the general manager has a job for 4 years. You don't, it'd probably have to be in the primary election, so it's in the off season for football. That way he has a little time to be like, yo, this is why I should have the job. There's no debates or anything. Each guy is like, yo, here's why I should keep my job, and then other people can be like, I want to run the team. This is my vision. Da da da. And then people can vote, and whoever has the most votes do. But I think it'd be better if you have goals that he has to meet at the end of the 4 years. Maybe the NFL figures those out based off of what he's taking over. So if you take over a team who's getting the number 1 draft pick, you make the playoffs in that 4 years, in those final 2 years, you'll keep your job. But after that, you can't just make the playoff. You got to constantly improve. You get to the Super Bowl. You get to the Super Bowl, you're good for the next 4 years. Or for the next election. Something like that. We got a minute left. Kind of going all over the place. Hopefully we'll be back with more shows like this. It'd be good to get the whole Back and Forth Sports crew back together. Let us know what you think in the comments. We may be back later to talk about what the NFL does with this. Maybe weekly updates on this mess or daily. Who knows? It's craziness. Back to Bragg is having some renovations with their studios and stuff, so who knows. Anyway, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow, all that fun stuff. This is C, the producer for Back to Bragg Sports. Washington, what the F? Peace!